I never thought that something as simple as a folder on his laptop would change everything. For years, I had trusted him completely. We had built a life together, one that felt solid and secure. Our mornings were filled with quiet routines, and our evenings were spent sharing stories of our day, laughing, and planning for the future. I believed in us. I believed in him. We were happy, or so I thought. But one evening, while I was using his laptop to check an email, I noticed something strange. A folder sat on the desktop, labeled, "Do not open." It was just a small detail, something that might have been easy to overlook, but for some reason, it caught my eye. I hesitated. Why would anyone label a folder like that? Was it a joke, or was there something more? I told myself it was nothing, that I was simply being paranoid, but curiosity gnawed at me. My fingers hovered over the folder. It was like a whisper urging me to take a look, to see what was hidden inside. I had no idea that this small, almost insignificant decision would lead to a discovery that would shatter everything I thought I knew about him and about our relationship. It was a late evening, and I had been trying to reach my friend on her phone for the past half hour, but she had not been answering. I had to finish an important task for work, but I was feeling frustrated. So, I decided to use his laptop instead of my own. He had always been so generous with it, and it seemed like the perfect time to use it for something simple. I never thought twice about it. After all, we shared everything. Or so I believed. As I sat down and opened the laptop, I immediately noticed something out of place. It was small, almost unnoticeable, yet it seemed to scream for attention. A folder on the desktop with a simple yet curious label, "Do not open." My fingers froze for a moment. What kind of label was that? It seemed odd, out of place. It felt like a warning, like something was telling me not to look, not to pry. But I could not shake the feeling that something important was hidden there. My mind raced. Should I respect his privacy, or was I being naive to ignore it? The doubt crept in, but it was quickly overpowered by an unsettling feeling of curiosity. I could not help myself. I clicked on the folder. As soon as the window opened, I was greeted with a list of files, and my heart sank. The titles were vague, yet the names seemed so deliberate, as though they were designed to hide in plain sight. My breath caught in my throat. I was not sure what I was expecting, but this was far beyond anything I could have imagined. A cold sensation washed over me as I scrolled through the list, the names of files ranging from innocuous to deeply troubling. There was a mixture of images and documents. At first, I thought I might be mistaken, but as I clicked on one of the files, a wave of shock hit me. The image that appeared was of him, but it was not the man I knew. It was an image of him with someone else, someone I did not recognize, smiling, standing close together in a way that made my stomach twist. A knot formed in my chest, tightening with every passing second as my mind tried to process what I was seeing. Who was she? Why had he kept this from me? As I scrolled through the images, I found more, each one more intimate than the last. There were photographs from different moments in time, ones that should have been shared with me, yet they were hidden in a folder labeled with a command not to open. The anger that began to rise was immediate, but so was the confusion. It was clear now. These were secrets, and they were meant to be kept from me. But why? Why had he chosen to hide this part of his life? I clicked on another file. This one was a document, a message, or a conversation, something I had never seen before. It was a series of texts, some exchanged between him and someone I did not know, others with names I vaguely recognized but could not place. My heart pounded faster, each word on the screen making the reality more crushing. It was clear now. There were things he had never told me, things he had kept hidden away, locked behind a folder I was never meant to find. Every second I spent staring at the screen felt like an eternity. I was frozen, unable to move, unable to look away. The image of his smiling face alongside a stranger's, the warmth in their eyes, the closeness that spoke of something far more than a simple friendship, felt like a betrayal. I had never felt more distant from the man I thought I knew. A sickening feeling settled in my stomach. This was not just a mistake. This was deliberate. He had chosen to keep this from me. I clicked on another file, almost against my will, and found a series of letters. They were written in a tone that I could not deny had a deep affection, a love that I had never been a part of. The words were gentle, intimate. He had written these letters to her, not to me. Each word seemed to stab deeper into my chest. I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes as the reality of it all sank in. What had I missed? How had I failed to see what was right in front of me? The folder had not just revealed images or documents, it had uncovered a life I was never a part of. A life he had hidden from me, and now, I had stumbled upon it, uninvited, unwelcome. The sense of betrayal was overwhelming. I could feel my hands trembling, my thoughts spiraling out of control. This was not just about broken trust, it was about everything I had believed in suddenly being called into question. Had he always been this person, or was this someone I had never truly known? The deeper I dug into the folder, the more I realized the weight of what I had uncovered. It was not just secrets, it was a double life. A life where I did not exist, where someone else was the one he cared for. The anger, the hurt, and the confusion all blended together in a mixture that was almost too much to bear. How had he kept this from me? Why had I been so blind? The folder was no longer just a file on his laptop. It had become the key to a door I never wanted to open, and now that it was open, I could not unsee what was inside. As I continued scrolling through the contents of the folder, I could feel my heartbeat in my ears. Each click brought me closer to a truth I was not prepared to face. The first image that had popped up, the one of him with another woman, was just the beginning. My stomach churned, but I could not stop myself from looking deeper, as if something inside me needed to see it all, needed to know what had been hidden for so long. I clicked on the next image, almost afraid of what I might find, but I had to know. The next photograph showed him and the same woman, this time in a hotel room, the bed in the background slightly disheveled, as though they had just spent the night together. They were laughing, their faces close, and there was an undeniable intimacy between them. It was a casual moment, but the bond between them was painfully obvious. The way they looked at each other, the way their hands were almost touching, but not quite, it felt like a slap in the face. My breath caught in my throat. This was not something innocent. This was not just a friendship. This was something far deeper, far more secretive than I could have imagined. I could feel the anger building up inside me, but it was accompanied by a sense of disbelief. How had I missed this? How had I allowed myself to ignore the signs? Every moment I had spent with him felt like a lie now. I scrolled down to the next image. This one was different, not a photograph, but a document. I opened it, my fingers trembling. It was a letter. The writing was in his handwriting. There was no mistaking that. The words were not meant for me, but for her. He had written about how much he missed her, how every moment apart from her felt unbearable, how he longed to be with her again. The letter spoke of love, of longing, and of a future he had been planning without me. I felt as though the ground beneath me had been ripped away. My world, my life, everything I thought I knew had been reduced to nothing more than a cruel illusion. The letter was a confession, not just of affection, but of something far more damning. He had been carrying on a relationship with her while we were together. I could hardly breathe as I clicked on the next file. It was a series of text messages, a conversation between him and the woman. The messages were full of terms of endearment, things I had never heard him say to me. They spoke of plans for the future, plans that did not include me. He had told her he loved her, that he was going to leave me soon, that it was just a matter of time. Each message was like a punch to the gut, and my hands shook as I read through them. The betrayal was no longer just a suspicion. It was a cold, hard fact. But there was more. The next file was a video, and I hesitated before opening it, unsure of what I might see. My instincts screamed at me to stop, to close the laptop and walk away, but I could not bring myself to do it. I clicked play. The video started with a shaky camera angle, as though it had been filmed secretly. In the video, he and the woman were in a car, laughing and joking as if they were the only two people in the world. But it was the moment that followed that made my heart stop. In the video, he kissed her, his lips pressing softly against hers. I could hear the sound of their laughter in the background, but all I could focus on was the sight of him with her, of them together, of the love they shared that I had never been a part of. I felt my chest tighten, my breath coming in short, ragged bursts. The video played on, but I could no longer focus on the images on the screen. I felt sick, betrayed, and broken. I had never imagined this. I had never imagined that the man I loved, the man I had built my life with, was capable of something like this. The pain was overwhelming, each new revelation more crushing than the last. I scrolled down to the next document, praying that it would be something, anything, that would explain away what I had just seen. But it was another letter, another confession. In this one, he wrote about how he had been lying to me for months, how he had been playing both of us, keeping us both in the dark. He admitted that he never planned on telling me the truth, that he was too afraid of losing me, but that he could not continue living this double life. The words burned my eyes, the reality of his deceit sinking deeper with every sentence. At this point, I could not continue. The weight of what I had discovered was too much. I felt like I was drowning, suffocating under the weight of his lies, under the betrayal that seemed to seep into every part of my life. How had I been so blind? How had I trusted him so completely? I closed the laptop, but the images, the messages, the video, they all stayed with me. The pain of discovering the truth was sharp, like a wound that would not heal. I sat there in the silence, my mind reeling, trying to make sense of what I had just uncovered. How could he have done this to me? How could he have kept this hidden for so long? The woman, the love letters, the plans for the future, they were all pieces of a puzzle I had never seen, a puzzle that had been carefully constructed behind my back. And now, as I sat there in shock, I realized that I had never truly known him at all. The truth had been buried in that folder, hidden away from me, and now that I had uncovered it, I was left to pick up the pieces of my broken heart. The anger and betrayal were overwhelming, but it was the sense of loss that hurt the most. I had lost him, and I had lost the future I thought we had together. I sat in silence, the weight of what I had discovered pressing heavily on my chest. The laptop was still open in front of me, its screen displaying the folder, the documents, the photos, proof of everything I had never wanted to believe. I could not breathe. The shock of it all left me paralyzed, as if I had lost the ability to think, to process. My heart raced in my chest, but my mind was numb. I had to do something. I had to confront him, but how? The question gnawed at me. Should I wait? Should I keep everything I had uncovered locked away inside me, let it fester until it tore me apart, or should I face him, demand answers, make him explain himself? The thought of confronting him made my stomach churn. I could already feel the anger building, the betrayal swirling inside me, but there was a deep, primal fear as well. What if he denied everything? What if he turned it all around on me, made me feel like I was the one in the wrong for even questioning him? The uncertainty made my hands tremble as I sat there, trying to gather my thoughts, trying to figure out what to do next. The hours felt like days. I could not move. I could not think straight. My emotions were overwhelming, a chaotic mix of hurt, anger, and disbelief. Every moment I spent sitting there, contemplating what I should do, only made the weight heavier. I could feel the tension in my body, the tightness in my chest, the pounding in my head. I wanted to scream, but the words stuck in my throat. I wanted to throw the laptop at him, demand he look me in the eye and tell me why he had done this to me, why he had lied for so long, but I could not bring myself to do it. I was frozen. Finally, I made the decision. I could not live with the secret. The truth needed to be confronted. I had to face him. I stood up and walked to the living room, where he was sitting, completely unaware of the storm that was about to hit. He looked up as I entered, his face lighting up with a smile. A smile that now felt like a lie. I stood there, my heart pounding in my chest, my hands shaking at my sides. I had to say something, but the words seemed stuck, trapped behind the fury that was building inside me. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself, trying to find the right words to start the conversation, but none of them seemed to come. How do you begin something like this? How do you start a conversation with the person you love, the person you trusted, when everything you thought you knew about them is a lie? Why? I finally managed to whisper, my voice trembling. It felt like the only word that mattered, the only word that would unlock everything. Why had he done this? Why had he kept this secret from me for so long? His expression shifted from confusion to concern, his brow furrowing as he looked at me. What are you talking about? He asked, his voice calm, almost too calm. It sent a chill through me. He had no idea what I had uncovered, no idea that everything was about to unravel. You know what I am talking about, I said, my voice stronger now, though still trembling with emotion. The folder. The one you told me not to open. The words came out before I could stop them, like a dam breaking. What is this? Who is she? I could feel the heat rising in my face as I spoke. Why did you hide all of this from me? His eyes widened, and for a moment, there was silence. He didn't answer immediately, and that silence made my stomach twist in knots. I could see the realization dawning on him, the understanding that the secret he had been keeping was now out in the open. But even then, he did not respond. Instead, he looked away, his gaze shifting toward the floor as if he could avoid the truth by not looking me in the eye. I was not going to let him avoid this. I took a step closer, my voice now louder, more insistent. Don't look away from me. I want answers. I deserve answers. My anger, the hurt, the betrayal, all of it surged to the surface in that moment. Why did you do this? Why did you lie to me for so long? He finally met my gaze, but the look in his eyes was not one of guilt. It was one of confusion, almost as if he could not understand why I was upset, as if everything I had found was just some misunderstanding. I don't know what you are talking about, he said, his voice low. There's nothing to explain. Nothing to explain? I repeated, my voice incredulous. You think I am just going to sit here and pretend like I haven't seen everything? The photos, the letters, the messages. Don't tell me there's nothing to explain. My heart was racing, the anger in my chest threatening to spill over. You have been lying to me. You've been living a double life. He shook his head, his lips pressed into a thin line. I don't know where this is coming from, he said, his voice more defensive now. You are overreacting. This isn't what you think it is. The words sounded rehearsed, as if he had said them before, as if he had used them to cover his tracks in the past. Don't lie to me, I spat, the words sharp and bitter. You cannot talk your way out of this. I saw it. I saw everything. You can't deny it anymore. He stood up abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor as he pushed it back. I said, you are overreacting. I don't have time for this right now. He turned his back to me, walking away as if the conversation was over, as if my feelings didn't matter. His dismissal sent a wave of fury crashing through me. No, I shouted, stepping forward and grabbing his arm. You are not walking away from this. Not this time. The grip I had on him was tight, but I felt like I was clinging to the last thread of my sanity, the last vestige of control in a situation that had spiraled out of my hands. He yanked his arm away from me, turning to face me with an angry glare. You want answers? Fine. Yes, I was seeing someone else. Yes, I kept it from you. But that is all you need to know. You don't need to know any more. His words hit me like a slap, raw and cold, without any hint of remorse. I was stunned. The weight of his confession crashed over me, and for a moment, I could not breathe. I had suspected it, but hearing him admit it, hearing him say it out loud, it shattered something inside me. How could you? I whispered, the anger giving way to hurt. How could you do this to me? After everything we've been through. His face softened for a brief moment, but then it hardened again. I didn't mean for it to happen like this, he said, his voice quieter now, almost regretful, but not truly sorry. But it did. And there is nothing you can do about it now. The words hung in the air between us, suffocating, unspoken and yet impossible to ignore. I had wanted answers, but now that I had them, I wasn't sure what to do with them. The truth was too much to bear. The trust between us, once unshakable, had crumbled in an instant, and I was left standing there, holding onto the shattered remnants of everything I thought I knew. The silence that followed our confrontation was unbearable. The words we had exchanged hung in the air between us, unresolved and heavy. I had wanted answers, but now that I had them, it felt like the ground had been pulled out from under me. I had never imagined that our relationship, something I had thought was solid, could unravel so quickly, so completely. The trust we had built over the years was gone, shattered by a single discovery, and no amount of words seemed capable of putting it back together. I sat in the living room long after he had left, the weight of the situation pressing down on me. My mind was racing, but it felt like there was no clarity, no direction. I was trapped in a whirlwind of emotions, caught between betrayal and disbelief, anger and sorrow. The truth had been laid bare before me, but I was not sure how to process it, how to reconcile the person I thought I knew with the one I had just discovered. In the hours that followed, I went over everything again and again in my mind. How had I not seen the signs? How had I missed the small details, the subtle changes that now seemed so glaring? There were moments I should have questioned, moments I should have paid more attention, but I had been blinded by love and trust. Now, all of that felt like it had been ripped away, and I was left standing in the wreckage, unsure of where to go from here. I thought about forgiveness, about the possibility of healing the damage that had been done. Could I forgive him? Could I ever look at him the same way again? The idea of forgiveness felt like an impossible mountain to climb. How could I forgive someone who had betrayed me so deeply, who had hidden such a huge part of their life from me for so long? The love I had for him, the bond one thought we shared, now felt tainted, corrupted by the lies and the secrets he had kept. I did not know if I could forgive him, and I did not know if I even wanted to. But at the same time, a part of me still clung to the hope that we could work through this, that there was a chance for us to rebuild what we had lost. Could I move past the pain, past the betrayal, and find a way to heal together? Or was it too late? Was this the end of everything we had built? I did not have the answers, and the uncertainty gnawed at me, making my stomach twist in knots. I needed time. Time to think, time to breathe, time to figure out what I really wanted. The raw emotion I had felt in the heat of the confrontation was still fresh in my mind, but I knew I could not make any decisions while I was still so consumed by the pain and anger. I needed distance, space to reflect on everything. I had to decide if this was something I could move past or if the damage was too deep, too irreparable. I made the decision to take a step back. I needed to be alone, away from him, away from the reminders of what had happened. I left the house for a few days, staying with a close friend, trying to clear my head and process everything. The days were long and filled with questions that had no answers. I spent hours lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of it all. The pain was still there, a dull ache in my chest that would not go away, no matter how much time passed. But I needed the space, the quiet, to think. During those days away, I thought about the future. I thought about what my life could look like if I stayed with him, if I chose to forgive him and try to rebuild our relationship. But I also thought about what it would be like to walk away, to leave everything behind and start over. The idea of starting fresh, of not having to carry the weight of his betrayal with me, felt like a relief, a possibility that I had not considered before. But then there was the part of me that still loved him, that still cared for him, that wanted to believe that we could overcome this. I did not know which path was the right one. I did not know if there even was a right path. As the days passed, I began to see things more clearly. The pain did not go away, but it became more manageable. I could think about the situation without feeling overwhelmed by emotion, and I could start to see the bigger picture. The trust that had been broken was not something that could be repaired easily. It would take time, and it would take a lot of effort. But the question was whether or not I was willing to put in that effort. Was I willing to risk my heart again, to give him another chance to hurt me? Or was it better to walk away, to protect myself from further damage? When I finally returned home, things were different. The atmosphere in the house was heavy, suffocating. The space that had once felt like a home now felt foreign, as though it was no longer a place of comfort but a reminder of everything that had gone wrong. He was there when I walked in, sitting in the living room, looking at me with a mixture of guilt and uncertainty. It was clear that he had been waiting for me to make a decision, but I was not sure if I was ready to make that decision yet. We sat in silence for a long time, neither of us knowing what to say. The tension between us was thick, and it felt like everything I had been thinking over the past few days was swirling in my mind, too much to put into words. Finally, I spoke, my voice quieter than I expected. I don't know what to do, I said, the weight of the situation pressing down on me once again. I don't know if I can forgive you for what you've done. I don't know if I can trust you again. The words were harder to say than I had imagined, and they felt like a betrayal of everything we had shared. But they were the truth. He looked at me, his expression pained. I know I've hurt you, he said softly. I don't know how to fix it, but I want to try. I want to make things right, if you'll let me. I wanted to believe him, I wanted to feel that hope again, but I was scared. I was scared of getting hurt again, of opening myself up only to have it all fall apart. But I also knew that I could not move forward without making a choice. Whether I stayed or left, I had to find some sense of closure, some way to move on, to heal. For now, I did not have the answers. But I knew that time would tell. Time would reveal whether or not forgiveness was possible, whether or not our relationship could survive this betrayal. The pain was still there, but I had to believe that, somehow, I would find a way to heal, one way or another. As the days passed, I found myself looking at everything through a new lens. The weight of what I had discovered and the confrontation that followed had changed something within me. It was not just the betrayal that had shaken me, but the realization that I had allowed myself to be so blind, so trusting, without questioning the things I should have. I had believed in our relationship, in the person I thought I knew, but now everything felt uncertain, like a house built on sand, ready to collapse at any moment. I had spent so much time searching for answers, looking for signs that could explain what had happened, but now I realized that I was also searching for a sense of control, a way to make sense of the chaos that had taken over my life. The truth, no matter how painful, had given me a glimpse into the reality of the situation, but it also left me with more questions than I had before. What did I truly want? What did I owe myself? What did I owe him? I had thought that forgiveness was something I could easily give, that I could look past his mistakes and rebuild what we had. But forgiveness was not a light switch that could be flipped on or off. It was a process, a journey, and it was not something I was sure I was ready to embark on. There were moments when I felt like I could never trust him again, when the thought of continuing our relationship seemed impossible. But then there were moments when I could still feel the love I had for him, the connection we had shared, and it made me wonder if there was a chance for healing, for growth. The decision weighed heavily on me. Should I walk away? Should I cut ties and leave the past behind, starting over with a clean slate? Or should I try to rebuild what we had, despite the cracks that now marred the foundation? The truth was, I was not sure I had the strength to walk away completely. There were parts of me that still wanted to fight for us, that wanted to believe in the possibility of a future together, even after everything that had happened. But there were also parts of me that felt drained, emotionally exhausted, unsure of how much more I could give. I had always believed in love, in the idea that love could overcome anything. But now, I questioned whether love alone was enough. Love was not enough to erase the hurt, the lies, the secrets. It was not enough to undo the damage that had been done. And yet, I could not deny the part of me that still clung to the hope that we could rebuild. In the quiet of my thoughts, I came to realize that the journey I had been on was not just about the relationship or the betrayal, it was about me, about what I had learned about myself through all of this. I had learned that I was stronger than I had given myself credit for, that I had the power to make difficult decisions and face uncomfortable truths. I had learned that I could survive even the deepest hurts, that I could rebuild my life, piece by piece, if I had to. But I had also learned that I could not continue living in a state of uncertainty, that I could not keep hanging on to a relationship that had hurt me. I had to make a choice that was not easy, but one that was necessary for my peace of mind and my future. I had to decide whether to keep trying or to let go. In the end, I realized that the most important thing was not whether I stayed or left, but whether I could find peace with my decision. I had spent so much time focusing on what he had done to me, but now I understood that my happiness and my peace were not dependent on him. They were dependent on me. The relationship had changed me, had forced me to confront parts of myself I had never fully acknowledged. And in that process, I had found a sense of clarity, of understanding, about what I needed to move forward. It was not about forgiveness, at least not yet. It was about healing, about giving myself the time and space to recover from the pain and betrayal. It was about reclaiming my own life, my own identity, and not allowing the actions of someone else to define my worth. As the days went on, I found that the decision was not so black and white. There were still moments of doubt, moments when I questioned my choice, when I wondered if I had made a mistake. But with each passing day, I grew stronger, more confident in my ability to handle whatever came next. I did not have all the answers, and I did not know what the future held, but I knew that I was capable of facing it head-on, whatever that future might look like. In the end, I chose to walk away, to leave behind the relationship that had caused me so much pain and uncertainty. It was not an easy decision, but it was the right one for me. I had learned that I deserved more than a love that was tainted by lies and betrayal. I deserved a love that was built on trust, respect, and honesty. And though it was difficult to let go, I knew that in the long run, it was the only way for me to truly heal. As I moved forward, I did so with a sense of hope. Hope that I would find a love that was worthy of me, a love that would bring me the peace and happiness I had been searching for. I did not know what the future held, but I knew that I was ready to face it, ready to start a new chapter, one where I could be true to myself and live a life free from the shadows of the past.